Numbers are not just numbers to the ruling class. Numbers are everything to the cabal. Kabbalah states God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. But understand that what they're doing to us in the news media is numerical ritual to control our minds. In Gematria, mind control literally equals 56. Remind me, where did the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting happen at? Does anyone remember? It's right after the George Floyd thing. It happened on the corner of 56th Street, as they reported, and then they talked about how Black Lives Matter burned down a lot of the shops on 56th Street. Yeah, this isn't numbers or just numbers. These are rituals. Stuff's based in Jewish mysticism, where numbers are associated as being the language of God. Coronavirus is 56. COVID vaccine is 56. Toilet paper is 56, remember? Remember, at the beginning of COVID, they told you coronavirus was going to cause all the toilet paper to sell out. Anthony Fauci, 56, like Society of Jesus, 56, like Washington, D.C., 56. Society of Jesus is 79 in reverse. The pandemic was declared on Anthony Fauci's 79th day of being 79 years old. The whole thing's been synced up with him and the Jesuit agent Bill Gates all along, whose supposed wife shares the same birthday as the Jesuit order, August 15th. Melinda was 56 years old when the vaccine went live. Best way to do it's with Gematria. Donald Trump, Jesuit educated. When did his Jesuit education begin? It began in 1964, 56 years before 2020, the year of coronavirus, the year of all the 56 rituals. Not to mention, Trump declared the pandemic for the U.S. 2 days after the World Health Organization did on Friday, March 13th, 2020. 3 plus 13 plus 20 plus 20 is 56. He declared the coronavirus pandemic for the nation on a 56 date numerology, 56 years after beginning his Jesuit education. Boris Johnson, who was 56 years old during the time of the pandemic, he declared the UK strain 56% more infectious. He read the 56-page winter plan about what to do about COVID. He locked down London on November 5th over COVID. Remember the 5th of November, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And to see that it's the Jesuits is plain as day. The Jesuits have been in D.C. longer than the federal government, and in the UK, their logo is over the door at 10 Downing Street. I mean, could it be any more clear? It couldn't be any more clear. 9/11. What planes hit targets that day? 1177 and 175. And while there's a lot to say about all those numbers, they add up to 263, the 56th prime number. Here, the Astro World tragedy on the day leaving 56 days left in the year. They have to now come out and say, a 56-page event operations plan for the Astro World Music Festival laid response protocols for dangerous situations. However, there was no information on what to do in the event of crowd surge. And guess what the gematria of crowd surge is? If you guess 56, you're a winner. Again, numbers are language, and that's why our language is encoded in numbers. Numbers were the first language. By the way, if you guys are new here, there are 4 base ciphers. You really want to know these ciphers. I just want you to see how Gavin Newsom, who's been a big leader, a Jesuit, in the lockdowns and everything else about COVID, the mandates, I just want you to see how his name is in comparison to coronavirus. With the alphabetic order, it's 155, like how Cladex was on May 15th, 15/5, 666 days before the pandemic was declared. By the way, Christianity equals 155 that same way, since that's a 666 is a Christian teaching. Remember, Trump declared Operation Warp Speed on May 15th, 2020, which was the 2-year anniversary of Cladex. But when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, coronavirus is 142, and it's also 70. But notice Gavin Newsom. He's got the 56, the 155, and the 142 in his name. And again, on Halloween, he missed the climate change summit. Climate change is also 56. By the way, Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation, October 18th, 2019. When coronavirus news coverage first started, the first case of coronavirus in the world was December 12th, 2020 in China. That was 56 days after the Event 201 simulation. But Pope Francis, he's the first Jesuit pope. He's the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, like Event 201. His birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 201, like Ignatius of Loyola's 201, the founder of the Jesuits. The name of his apartment is Domus Sanctae Martae, which is 201, like the Jesuit order is 201. The Pope's encyclical about what to do about coronavirus and climate change is Fratelli Tutti. This ties in with Agenda 21, which was signed off in Rio de Janeiro by the participating nations on June 13th, 92. June 13th leaves 201 days left in the year. Rio de Janeiro equals 201. On the Christ the Redeemer statue, by the way, the architect who built Christ the Redeemer, his name's 201. But they put vaccine saves up on Christ the Redeemer statue. That phrase, vaccine saves, is 201. Again, in the spring of 2019, reality TV show Project Runway had a unique designer, COVID Kapoor, who was designing outfits with matching masks. Just like Nancy Pelosi, how every day she has a really fancy mask on. By the way, Nancy Pelosi equals 56. Born on 26/3, like 263 though. 56 prime. Kapoor and his birth name, Kevin Kapoor, 56. Like coronavirus, like Regeneron, the expensive get well COVID beverage that Trump promoted. Like unemployment, which was caused by the pandemic as they move us towards communism. Who needs to work when the government will just send you a stipend? Like the Chinese guy Andrew Yang told you about right before he dropped out of the election before the pandemic began. Anthony Fauci, Society of Jesus, Washington, D.C., Paris, France. Go back to our most simple cipher. 3, light, Abrahamic. 3 Abrahamic religions based in Genesis and the Torah. God makes light in Genesis 1:3. So always this strong relationship with 3 and 56.